Okay, welcome everyone to the first episode of Mostly Politics. I'm your host Cameron, and we're here for the first episode, which we're delving into Russia. Didn't think I'd be saying that, but guess what? Russia's in a bit of a state at the moment. So of course I'm going to be following the three stage structure of these videos. So first I'm going to go into objectivity, the facts, then due impartiality where I give different sides of the debate before getting into my own subjective opinion. If you enjoy, please like and subscribe, it would help me out a lot, and I hope you guys enjoy. So to start off, the objective and the facts. What has happened in Russia, I think is the best place to put it. Well, this all starts back in August of 2020, or at least that's probably the best place to start, when Alexei Navalny, I believe I've said that correctly, but you can always correct me if I'm wrong, got poisoned by the Novichok nerve agent, the same one used in the Salisbury case back in, I believe it was 2018. So, he was poisoned. He has been hospitalised, he was in Germany, he was critical, and then he was fine again. Goes back to Russia, and guess what? He's arrested. Of course, Russia denies any claim that they poisoned him, and they have charged him for 3.5 years in prison. It has caused protests on the street in support of Navalny, with the police arresting protesters. So, with Russia denying any involvement, it's unclear to know exactly what's happened from a factual basis, but all we know is that he was poisoned, he then recovered, he's now been arrested, and of course Navalny is the opposition to Putin. Almost every time it gets to the election, which is every 4 years for the presidential election of Russia, something tends to happen to him, whether he's arrested or, as most recently, poisoned for the 2020 elections. Most people probably didn't hear about these elections because, well, in the grand scheme of things, they just aren't reported that much in the West. Okay, so moving on to the different opinions now, the different sides. If you're a liberal here, you're probably wanting Navalny to win, right? Because most liberals want him to win because they want democracy in Russia, right? We want democracy. Liberals want democracy. And currently, that's not really happening in Russia. Russia, from the Freedom House's perspective, have currently rated Russia as an authoritarian state, and that has been the case over the last couple of years. Their freedom scale, Russia has scored 20 out of 100. To put that into perspective, that puts them at purple for the colour, and it puts them as an authoritarian state, and they are not free. That's how they're classified by the Freedom House. Of course, the Freedom House, to be transparent, is a US-based think tank. So before we, rush to conclusions, there could be any bias there, but it tends to be a pretty good resource. For example, it doesn't put the USA above the UK, for example, on its freedoms, and as a US-based system, that clearly shows that it's not completely biased. But for other opinions in this situation, of course, we've got the protesters in Russia, the supporters of Navalny, who think that Putin has been, fudging the elections. They think he has been tampering with them so that he continues to win. They view him as a dictator. Of course, Putin does have his supporters though. Not everyone is protesting on the streets of Russia. For obvious reasons, the police are on his side. Putin pays the police. He is the head of the government. He is head of the country. So not everyone is in support of Putin leaving. Even in the West and in other parts of the world, some people still support Putin because they see him as a stabiliser in Russia. It's better to know who's going to be in that seat for the next 5 to 10 years than to have elections in Russia where who knows who you could wind up with next on the international table. It makes sense. So then, to get into my personal view, my subjective view, on one hand, I actually really do agree with that liberal opinion that democracy would be great in Russia, it'd be great in China, it'd be great in so many countries. But I think for now, Putin's pretty tame on the world stage. He flexes Russia's muscles every once in a while, just like America does, just like China does, but he never does anything crazy. So, on one hand, it's not a bad thing for Russia to be in the state it is currently, but at the same time, the people's voice should be heard and democracy should be had. It's just that might be a long road for Russia. Russia seems to keep getting into a state of some form of authoritarian government. They had their royal Tsarist regime prior to the communists. Then they had the communist USSR, which was an authoritarian dictatorship with socialist communist policies. And then of course now you've got the modern authoritarian Putin flavour of Russia, which is, well, I mean, as you can see on the news, it's not going super great right now, but its track record has been pretty good. Yes, it does like to try the West's patience by flying off airplanes near our international airspaces, our national airspaces, sorry, and so on. But overall, it's really hard to tell. My personal opinion really is just kind of on the fence. I want democracy there, but at the same time, Putin's been stability for that region for some time, and we don't know what would happen if he suddenly goes. What if Navalny got to power? Would he be a better leader? Would he enact democracy in Russia? Would that democracy be long lasting, or would it crumble after a couple of years? We just don't know. There's a lot of what if questions with Russia, and it's really hard to decipher what would actually happen. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully my videos will be a bit longer in the future. There wasn't really much when it comes to facts for this situation because unfortunately a lot of it is vague. Not lots of it has been proven. Like, we don't actually know who actually poisoned Navalny apart from the names that he released, but then is he telling the truth? We just don't know. So future episodes should hopefully have a bit more stats and facts in it, as well as a bit more of a difference of opinions in the impartiality section, the due impartiality section, which I did explain in my channel trailer / transparency video. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.